Edwin G. Lucas, The Human Situation. We saw this when we went to Edinburgh last year. It was painted around 1941. Couldn't get a good quality one. This is an illegal photograph I took of the actual picture while standing in a museum, because and then they told me off. They said, "Oh, you can't keep that. You have to buy one of the posters downstairs. So don't tell anybody." But he says, as long as you can keep, you don't have to delete it as long as you don't put it on the internet. So Edwin George Lucas. Has anybody in this room heard of him? No, I'd be very surprised if you would. He was born in Leith near Edinburgh in 1911. He showed a talent for art at an early age, and he won the school's drawing prize that year in the Edinburgh schools. But his parents always dissuaded him from following a life in art. That was due to the fact that his uncle, Edward George Handel, not Handel the musician, was a very well known and regarded Victorian artist, but he struggled to make a decent living and lived the whole of his latter life in poverty and had to be supported by Lucas's own family. During the 1930s, he worked almost exclusively in watercolours and had his first work except for exhibition at the Royal Scottish Society of Painters in 1933. His style became a bit more adventurous as he got older, and he started experimenting in what became known as the Surrealist phase. He produced numerous Surrealist paintings during the period from 39 to 41, some of them making the usual references that were common to all Surrealist painting at that time, of looking at dreams and psychoanalysis. And others, he borrowed styles of René Magritte and Salvador Dali. But the important thing to notice about Lucas is he is a committed Christian, and was a committed Christian all his life, and was actually a pacifist through World War II. He actually was a conscientious objector, and because of that he was assigned to do hospital work during the war. He was portered throughout the war at hospitals, and he continued to paint throughout that whole time. For him, the purpose of art was to continually innovate and change, and he refused to create a personal style by self-repetition or to follow any trends. In other words, he did exactly what he wanted because he wasn't trying to live a living as an artist. This led him to produce really unorthodox and experimental work, unlike anything that anybody else was doing at the time. But during the 50s, he produced huge amounts of work, but he continued to work and support his family. And during this time, all this time, and virtually his whole career, he was completely ignored by the art establishment. A little like Lowry, you know Lowry in Manchester, because the artistic establishment ignored people who had real jobs and had a family life, and they felt artists should only be wholly producing art, which interestingly leads people to take more of a safe line, because at the end of the day, if you're needing it for your income, then you're going to produce what sells. Whereas Lucas was free for that because he always had an independent income. He died of leukemia only in 1990, and he was completely unknown. And it was when we visited Scotland in 2013, the Scottish National Gallery of Modern Art came across and acquired 5 of his paintings and exhibited them in a new acquisitions show. And the papers and the press and the artistic establishment picked up on what a brilliant and amazing artist he was. This only happened in 2013. Subsequently, just in the last 2 to 3 years, his paintings are now hung next to masterpieces by Salvador Dali, Magritte, Miro, Ernst, Breton, and all the other stars of the Surrealist movement. The thing that was interesting when we were in Scotland is he was very much a committed Christian. That was very much, but without wanting to sound, well, the people, the curators and the people in the museum, when it came to explaining his paintings, he did a series called the Resurrection series, this is one of them. They had no understanding of the imagery in it. And whereas us as simple Bible-believing Christians could see immediately the pictures. Now, it's very hard to see in this. The picture is called The Human Situation. And you have pictures of people, it's like Babel again, building towers, step ladders up and trying to climb them to get to the top, and then where do they go from there? The city is seen as a distant People are in small groups in fragmented floating islands. I mean, it's pretty obvious to me, and I think to any Bible-believing Christian, that there's imagery going on here. And when we went on a talk around the main museum in Glasgow, and I wouldn't presume, there was a picture there on Moses. They described it as praying at the rock and water flowing. And the person who did the talk on it had no understanding of the biblical text that it came from and completely misrepresented the whole story and the main point of the story. So it gave me the confidence to say, I don't know about this stuff really, it's just a hobby of mine, but when it comes to, if you come from a Bible-believing background, it gives you a palette by which, because these people who created this art also came from that sort of cultural background, and this modern generation of people who are coming up through, don't have that in their background to even have a beginning to understand sometimes what these artists are getting at.